Hey, how's it going, everybody? So, I just wanted to get on here and make another video. Hopefully, not too long. But it's just an issue or a situation that I notice, and it seems to happen a lot, and I don't quite understand it. But at the same time, I feel like people don't understand it either or view it that way, and that's why it's something that happens often that we've all experienced. And all been guilty of from time to time. Um, I think for some reason, you know, when someone comes to us with a problem or issue, situation, whatever it may be, a lot of times we try to give information or advice or look at it solely just from our perspective. And unfortunately, we do each other a disservice by not looking at the situation or the problem from the viewpoint of the person who's experiencing that problem. And honestly, for me personally, it's quite frustrating. I'm trying to make this video be like not amped about it, but I find it quite frustrating because I think not only does it do a disservice to the person, it's honestly it's disrespectful. And I say disrespectful because a lot of times we undermine, we, um, don't respect what someone else is going through, what someone else is experiencing, the severity of the situation for that person because we're not going through it at the time. So one of my favorite quotes from song Bob Marley, he who feels it knows it, because we're not feeling it at the time, we diminish it. We're just like, oh, it's not that big of a deal because you're not experiencing it at the time. But trust and believe, if you were, different story. So I think it's that. And then also we're like, well, if it were me, I would do XYZ. And honestly, that's not like necessarily the best way to approach a situation or to offer advice or concern. First and foremost, I feel like we all just need to spend more time practicing listening, actually listening, not listening with anticipation of how am I going to respond to what you're saying, because then you're not really listening. You're just trying to come up with an answer or a rebuttal. We need to listen, especially when it's a situation where a person is experiencing something or they're telling you, hey, I'm really going through it, or I'm experiencing pain, or I'm hurt, or I'm sad, or whatever. When it's something like that, that's the time we really need to listen and let the person know, um, I hear you, I empathize with you, and just really try to understand and put yourself in their position and to understand maybe why they might feel a certain way, maybe why it might be more intense for someone else versus how it might be for yourself. We got to all remember, even though, yeah, there's a lot of things about us that are similar and all that, and everyone's going through similar things, we are not the next person. I'm not you, you're not me, or the next person, or the next person. So just because something for me might be more intense than it is for you, there's no reason to dispute it or dishonor it or disrespect it or not give it, the energy or the attention or the respect that it deserves, because you might not understand it or I might not understand, why that is that way for you. It's not really up to me to necessarily 100% complete understand it. But for people, if you claim that you care, if you're trying to make yourself available to be helpful to the person, which we're like, oh, I want to help, you can talk to me. If you then be there for the person. You don't have to necessarily get every single circumstance, but try to understand, try to put yourself in their position. Like for me, I'm not quick to like throw an opinion on something if I feel like I don't have enough information about the person. Like I feel like there's certain things you really need to know, understand like more in depth about a person before you can just be like, hey, let me just throw all this at you, because this is what I would do if I don't understand all the details behind it. It's layers to things. You know what I'm saying? So to like really, if you're involved enough to know different things, I think obviously that makes it easier to understand where a person is coming from. But if you don't, just be there. It's not necessarily about you, you know? And that's for all of us. We all got our times. Like it's not about necessarily what you would do or how you would deal with it or how you think someone should feel about it. We have no control over that. That's not really our job. We don't need to be doing all that. We just need to, if you care, if you don't care, this conversation is for you. But if you do supposedly care, if you are trying to be there for someone, if you're trying, asking someone what's going on or why do you feel this way or this and that, just look at it from their perspective. That's it, you know. And please, 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 all of us really need to get past this whole get over it thing. That is like the single worst piece of advice you can give someone, especially when they're in a situation, when they're in the middle of a situation where maybe logic is not leading it. Just saying, oh, just get over it or what, like just diminishing it or just brushing past it is the worst thing. And people don't realize usually that's what makes people like kind of go further into what it is that they're dealing with and feeling, because most of the time, nine times out of 10, and we can all relate to this, when you're dealing with something and you already feel like super immersed in that and you feel isolated, someone just saying, oh, just whatever, just you just need to do this, that usually makes you be like, okay, so I'm already going through this and then people aren't listening to me, so that makes you draw back even further. So a lot of times that is causing you to like do the exact opposite of what you're trying to do if you're supposedly trying to help. So the takeaway, just, you know, don't be so quick to always put your stuff on other people. Listen, really, really, really listen here, not just with your ears, but with this in here, if it's a person or people that you are concerned about, and try to just look at it from their perspective. Try to understand why that person is where they are in their life. You can ask more questions. You can try to understand. But again, that only applies to people who really care. If not, then maybe you're not the person to be asking, how are you? What's going on? Why do you feel that way? Just saying. Anyways, have a good one. Until next time.